I'm director at Newton Orchards, Manjimup, but aside from being an actual director on our family board that oversees the business, day to day I deal with communications, marketing, branding, a little bit of social media, a little bit of public face, but apart from that, just really centred around working out how we can sell more apples. Well, it was a little bit of a departure from my usual role for me because I don't normally focus on the science and tech side of our business, but it was a real eye-opener just going around and seeing how many levels and aspects across our packhouse and orchard and all aspects that are, that we are, chasing world's best and how many opportunities there are for development in tech in those. But I really wanted to get across to them that the versatility of employment opportunities in food production, so just using apples as an example rather than saying come and work on an apple orchard, that doesn't sound particularly exciting, but demonstrating all of the systems that underpin and the opportunities that go behind the kilo of apples that you see for sale in the supermarket and the challenges, but then the challenges that we're facing are also the opportunities for employment for these guys. When I started looking into it, I ended up coming with this as my cover slide because, throw at me what you might think, which apple, this really famous and very expensive apple or this quite famous but really cheap and affordable apple, which one do you think would have the most tech behind it? Behind this, there's arguably, a different kind of tech a lot of the time, but just about as much behind getting this to the supermarket shelf as there is behind that one. My few tries were all of these, so I started off back packing apples and picking apples and being a waitress and then pouring beers. Absolutely great having those experiences when you're young, like just even, being a wait person and learning proper communication skills and how to push a chair in at the table and look people in the eye. All of our 42 million odd apples a year float through this baby, and they are all sized and graded and sorted by colour and weight back into these bins, and that enables us to supply Coles and Woolworths and any market in the world because we've got the systems to supply them with exactly what they want. IDD, so that's internal defect detection. It will use infrared photography to see right into the apple, tell us if it's brown inside and needs to be dumped out, or tell us how much sugar's inside the apple without having to cut the apple. What we need to do is, and what we're always trying to do, is use tech, science systems, production systems to grow less of this and more of that, to develop varieties that do less of this and more of that. If you had to move your camera around and people would be giving up and not bothering, now it's bang, done, instantaneous. It won't take you to a boring old static website. It comes up to a regularly changing interface that tells you Google Maps to the orchard that apple came from that you just scan. It will tell you where it was packed. It will tell you about the grower. You obviously can go into as much detail as you want to get or not. Mostly I love most of it, and that's another thing that I wanted to get across to the kids is, find something you love doing and then you'll never work a day in your life. So I'm really fortunate that I have a passion for what I do and I love my job, so I don't care whether it's Monday or Friday most of the time, and I'm pretty thankful for that. Well, I think as I said, it's not just growing an apple anymore, where you just imagine that it's picking and packing, and whether that's an apple or an avocado or a carrot. But we've got some heavy times ahead of us in dealing with our high cost of production in Australia to get food to our own tables and world tables as well. And to be able to continue to do that in the face of rising costs and not necessarily usually static or sometimes even declining returns for farmgate, we're going to need every single bit of galvanising force we can to improve our production and processing methods. So, you know, that's where these skills and careers are going to come into play. Well, like, it's going from my own experience, it's just trying not to reach an almighty end goal too quickly, because you'll find your way quite fluidly, your career path as it goes. You probably will have to try, you know, 3 or 4 or maybe even half or dozen different more. They might not all be, you know, the tertiary sponsored or, you know, specific science or tech related careers, but I think that just about everything we do is going to have an element of that going forward anyway. So I think that it will probably be, for kids who aren't necessarily going through the tertiary attack, it'll be a natural migration anyway. Like, just using our business example, to, you know, to be an orchard manager now, it used to be as simple as getting up and going, putting on some fertiliser and water and then picking your apples. But now these guys have got to be across every aspect of minimising water usage, minimising inputs, maximising quality, and all of the science and technology that goes into ensuring those production methods are all gelling. Like, it's just not negotiable in about every career that we're going to look at.